Hello, my name is Brady Harrison, and I'm delighted and honored that my novel, A Journey to RAMEL, is a finalist for the 2025 Big Other Book Award in Fiction. And I'd like to thank John Madeira and the cast and crew at The Big Other. And I'd also like to thank Ted Morrissey, the publisher of 12 Winters Press, and all the good folks at 12 Winters, especially at 12 Winters Journal. So, A Journey to RAMEL is set in 1930, and it follows an expedition by a young Parisian. The novel begins in Paris and soon moves to Morocco, and then south beyond Morocco into what was called in 1930 the Spanish Sahara. And so the novel follows our protagonist, Bernard Saint Martin, as he journeys deeper and deeper into the desert in search of an long abandoned outpost, a Moorish outpost, trading post called Al Ramal. And he's looking for it for his own reasons. And so he's guided by a Berber family, and he's in disguise. And along the way, he keeps running into people that he really shouldn't be able to run into. And so what I want to read today is an excerpt that describes one of these encounters, in this case with a philosopher. So he's in the desert, but then he's thinking back to the occasions when he has seen and spoken to this will-be famous philosopher. Yesterday, we stopped in sight of Al-Haksas. Once more, we stopped in plain view and settled down to wait for darkness. In the valley below us and on the hills all around, Arabs and Berbers swarmed. All my companions, Al-Mabul, Larbi, Boos, the toad, and even Fatma, kept barking and hissing at me. Bujema, keep cover. Bujema, lay down. Bujema, conceal your hands and feet. Bujema, do not be so restless. Torture. I felt like an animal in a heavy, airless cage, only you wouldn't treat an animal as they treated me, swearing and pushing at me. The sun poured down, pure heat and pulsating, suffocating waves. Sweat ran off my nose, off my chin, and down my neck and back. It stung my eyes. I could not find a comfortable position inside my jalaba tent. I writhed this way and that, the stones sharp and hot, poking through the heavy, suffocating material into my skin. I kept calling for water, kept demanding that we cease this stillness, this sun-soaked baking agony, and get underway. Alternately, they ignored or hissed at me, insisting that I be quiet and still. Once someone even kicked me, though not roughly. After intervals of what seemed hours, they would bring me small cups of putrid mud water. Sweat dripping on this journal as I try to write, soaking the page, pencil tearing into the soft, palm tree-shaped welts. Clément, is this life? Is this being alive? If so, I might have to rethink my earlier claims. Here I am, alive and stinking, filthy, itchy. Am I getting lice? Wanting to leap from a mountain and scream at the sun. Alive and suffering horribly, a limp, sodden, enraged sack of sun-blasted self. I could use a bath, and evidently lice powder. Nearly suffocating, I found myself recalling the last time I had seen the philosopher. I did not speak to him then. The Prussian with the enormous mustache is a way of looking down at everyone in disbelief or with animus. It was well after he had left the university to begin his gypsy life of hotel rooms and restaurants, living on a pension and what his friends gave to him. Yes, the Superman. He was sitting at a small, round table at the back of a malevolent cafe just off the Bahnhofstrasse. There were too many things and too few people stuffed into the place. The walls, draped in something silky the color of dried blood, were decorated with immense paintings of mountains and lakes with pines, and set here and there between the paintings were mismatched mirrors, encased in profusions and repulsions of scrollwork. All but ringing the room were black oak sideboards, while the floor itself was crowded with scores of the small, squat black table at which he sat. In turn, each table was surrounded, as if wagons circled to defend against attack, by several correspondingly uncomfortable, immovable, foreboding chairs. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling like stalactites, threatening all but the shortest partakers of tea or coffee and a pastry. There was nowhere to walk, no way that I could see to reach a table. Once there was no room to pull a chair away if one were strong enough to pull it away. If the place itself seemed designed to squeeze joy from a person's soul, the patrons matched the furniture and wall paraphernalia. Everyone was old or wanted to be old, and smelled of camphor and damp fur in closets nobody remembered to use. Perhaps he was waiting for his Salome, though she would not come. Perhaps he waited for Ree, but he would not come. They had gone to Berlin without him. I had seen them at the train station. I had tried to lift Ree's wallet, but I kept getting distracted by Salome. I could not see what either saw in her. Like so much in life, none of my business, and I gave up on the theft. He had a pot of coffee and an untouched basket of bread at the top of the table, a tass and saucer beside his left hand, and a sheaf of loosely arranged papers taking up the remaining space. He kept his head down, his eyesight already beginning to fail, struggling to read what he had written, adding more and then more, deliberately, methodically, a line or two, a blocky paragraph, another half page, a page front and back, all the time, head down, working, not looking around at the others, the ashen, the attendants of Nimmelheim. Once he looked up and asked a waiter for another pen or two and some more writing paper. Slowly, carefully, steadily, always steadily, he wrote. He did not touch his coffee or bread. He was, in his dedication, magnificent. The time before, I had seen him at the gardens of Villa Silberblick, not long before his death, and he did not speak but sat weeping, his hands clasped to his forehead, heels covering his eyes. He was gaunt and shrunken, small, almost like a little boy, save for the walrus mustache and balding pate. When I tried to ask him if it was the whipping of the horse in Turin that broke his heart, or was it the war in the Crimea, or his nerves, or his father, or the matter of whom we love or desire, he could not or would not answer. Was it, I wanted to know, syphilis? Was it the opium or sedatives? Was the madness always there? Had he talked himself into it? Was it because the emperor would not travel to Rome and have himself shot? Before I left the cafe, I wrote on a scrap of paper and handed it to him. How can anything dead be? Too far gone, he looked at me, eyes brimming with tears, blinking, probably blind or nearly so. I tucked a bit of paper in his coat pocket. You will tell me if you ever know. Yeah, so that's an excerpt from A Journey to RAMEL. Thanks for listening.